Thank you guys for coming. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome to Movement in Place. We're going to look at a variety of ways you can move your body that doesn't involve you moving all around and taking steps forward or sideways or backwards. So just some general mobility while staying in place. We're going to do this from our stability stance, our foundational stance. So I'm going to have a good, nice diagonal line between my feet. There's nice width distance between left to right and front to back. And my hands are slightly up, knees bent, and my head is facing forward. And that's where we're going to start with this upper body motion, is where my head can move. Let's try all the different ways. I can tip my ear to the side like this. I can look over my shoulder. It's good for vision. I can look down. I can look up. I can start doing circles and semicircles and things like that. It's everything my head can do. Generally, when I'm protecting myself against strikes, whether it's punches or kicks, I want to keep a very good structure between my neck, my cervical spine, and my torso. If I get punched when I'm looking over my shoulder here, like this, it's much more likely I'm going to get knocked out or damaged. Whereas if I have good structure, everything's aligned, chin down, looking forward, I can take a lot of hits on the front here without getting too much damage. It's better because I've got a solid structure, a solid foundation. So head motion shouldn't be too much when I'm facing my opponent. Now, if I'm fighting this person here, I should be able to look over. Oh no, there's another person coming, and I need to be able to move around. We'll get to how we do that footwork later, but I need to be able to see that first. So that's where turning my head is possibly of use. But generally, I keep it in line with my shoulders, chin down, and it's stable and strong. When it comes to shoulders, I can rotate, and we're talking really shoulders, we're talking about T-spine and your lower spine and your trunk or your torso. And we can do a lot of things with this. I can kind of dip to each side, almost like I'm doing a side crunch. I can rotate, so my head is not moving to the side. Now my full torso is moving to the side. I can bend it forwards. I can bend it backwards or lean backwards here. And I can do all kinds of rotational movements and keep my head stable, but moving here. So let's look at a couple of things. I can slip. Notice that my shoulder comes forward. So it's not just my head moving to the side. Imagine a punch coming towards me. My slip, my shoulder comes forward a little bit, and my head actually dips slightly as it moves forward for me to see my counter-offensive striking. I can slip the other way as well. If I make that a little bit heavier, and I drop some weight onto this front foot right here, boom, it's more of a bob. And I can bob the other way as well. So we've got a slip and a bob. I can just bend my knees and just kind of duck. Boom, just duck under some things right there. If I've got my back heel up, and we'll get to kind of some more details on the stance later, my back heel's up, or even if it's not, I can sway back or lean back just to get out of somewhere. See, lots of different ways to use this technique, but I can use it. Twisting to set myself up for punches is also how I can use my upper body's mobility. From here, we're going to start looking at the feet. First one we'll look at is a replacement step. So I've got my left foot forward here, and I want to put my right foot forward for some reason. So I bring my left foot back, and put my right foot forward. Now I'm in the other stance. Bring my right foot back, put my left foot forward. Just replacement step, and this is front to back. Notice it's my front foot moving, back foot coming forward. Front foot moving, back foot coming forward. I can also do it the other way. I can use my rear foot first, and then drop my front foot back. Bring my rear foot up, and drop that front foot back. Notice one is front foot moving, rear foot moving. The other one, let's do that again, front foot moving, rear foot moving. The other one is rear foot moving, front foot moving. Rear foot moving, front foot moving. There's two ways to do the replacement step. I can also switch my stance by moving both feet at the same time, a little bit faster. I just jump, move the feet at the same time. This one is a little slower, but more stable. This one's faster, but for that tiny moment, I'm up in the air, I don't have as much stability. So replacement step, back to front. Replacement step, front to back. And switching stance, both feet. Boom, move those hips, my hands change. Boom, for whatever I need to do, I can switch there. So that's all in place. Muay Thai has something called the kick stance. This is a great tool to teach rhythm, stability, timing, all different types of things. Not to get into the too many details of it, but I'm just rocking back and forth from feet. So I'll do without my hands right now. I'm just going back and forth. Really, my heels are not touching. I'm kind of tall. And I'm going back and forth from each foot. The hands, I rotate back and come up. Boom. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Once you've got this rhythm, and when we do this in seminars, at Thai camp with Ajahn Chai, do this for a very long time, sometimes over an hour, just this. This is a very important part of being stable and having rhythm. Once you have rhythm, you can have broken rhythm. One rhythm, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, I broke that rhythm from here. I can sit back, I can throw a teep from here. 1, 2, I can step in to my knees from here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Boom, I can come down with my elbows. So having this basic kickstart, noticing I'm still moving in place. I haven't moved anywhere, just back and forth. From there we can move on to some more dynamic movement and looking at how that front foot can kind of move without taking the back foot with us for a brief moment. Call this kind of 3-point step or jagger step. From here, I can step forward without actually moving that back foot and then come out again. So I can reach for something, I can reach with a throw, a different strike, and I can cover that distance without having to scoot up at all. I can do that going forwards to my left or to my right. And notice I'm just doing a small pivot on that back foot when I do the left and right. So I can forward, left, forward, right, forward, left, forward, right. Notice that foot's coming back to my fighting stance each time. I step out, I come back to my safety. I step out, I come back to my safety. Step out, back to my safety. I can make this a little bit more dynamic by making kind of that turn, that jagger step, that bouncing back and forth. So I can forward, back and right, forward, back and left, forward, back and right, forward, back and left, forward, back and right. And that can be more dynamic. And you do this with both stances as well. With that, I can also just use that kind of jagger step, that bouncing back and forth, but keeping my feet in line. So I'm going to move slightly forward and slightly back, slightly left and slightly right. So let's just look at the forward and back one first. I'm going to bounce on the balls of my feet, not too high and not too far backwards and forwards. It's just a little bounce. So bouncing back and forth. Notice my upper hands are active and not tense, moving with my body. Upper body can move as well, and that's me bouncing back step, back and forth. Other side, exactly the same. Should always train both sides. You can always do this left to right as well. So rather than moving forwards and backwards, with this, I can just move left to right. If I switch my stance, I go left to right as well. So that's a basic overview of being able to move in place. It's not taking me anywhere. I'm not going forward or backwards, left or right, angles or diagonals, triangles. I'm just staying in place, but I'm moving my body. This type of constant movement is very important, not only for the ring, for the street, but it's an important way to use your fakes and feints so that your opponent or your attacker doesn't know when the next strike is coming from. If I'm stable and still, it's very easy to see where the strike is coming. I'm stable, you know this kick is coming. I'm constantly moving, then it's very hard to see where the next strike is coming from. So train this, put the reps in. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll move on to the next video and look at actually moving forwards and backwards and left and right. Stay safe and enjoy your training.